Okay. I have not scripted this at all. I have no desire to script this. Because I have a feeling that if I were going to do so, it would end up coming across as way too analytical, and I just kind of want to get my thoughts out there. So, I just finished Altered Carbon. And I cannot, for the life of me, think of why on earth I actually finished this series past episode 7 outside of a desire to actually do this review. So let me basically say this. Is it kind of a ripoff of Blade Runner? Yeah, kind of is. Is it preachy at points? Is it good? Alright, so the baseline of the story is this. It is the future, way in the future, and now people have these things called stacks that are in the, kind of close to your brain stem, that basically is a backup of your own brain. And if you die, it can be inserted into another body called a sleeve, thus making human beings effectively immortal. And what happens next is a story that is about a guy, a super rich guy who has lived for hundreds of years. He's effectively immortal because he can afford to continuously clone his own body over and over again, and he is like a god. And he dies, and his body is backed up on a satellite every 48 hours. The thing is, the way that he died, he can't remember how he died, and there's no way to tell how he died. So, the main character, whose name is Takeshi Kovacs, who is reborn, he's a former terrorist, I need to get that out of the way, but he's reborn into a body of a tall, buff, white dude. And as you can tell, his name's Takeshi, he's part Japanese. So, the reason he's brought back is because this super rich guy wants this guy who's like a former terrorist, basically, like an eco-terrorist, because he's so specially trained, to hunt down who he thinks is his killer. He doesn't know who it is, but he doesn't think he committed suicide. He thinks that he was his killer. Basically, the only reason that it could be explained that somebody killed him is it's the gun that was used is bio-locked to him or his wife, or the safe it was in, or something like that. Regardless, he's given Kovacs a blank check to try to hunt down whoever this person is and bring them to justice. What follows is a super gory, super sexual show that has some major problems. From episode 1 to episode 6, I believe, or maybe it's 7, 6 or 7, it's a good series. It's actually really good. It's very enjoyable. The fight scenes are great. The dialogue is pretty well written. It's a little edgy, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit edgy, but still pretty good. And it's good fun, if nothing else. It's fairly well written. It's better than your average sci-fi show. The plot has complexity. The way that the plot unravels is really interesting. It's cool how everything is interlocked into one grand conspiracy. Sort of like Deus Ex in a sense, although honestly not as good. Then episode 7 comes along, and everything gets really, really dumb. A character is introduced to the plot. I'm not going to tell you who she is. I just spoiled it's a woman. But she comes in to a techno-Euro fucking remake of More Human Than Human by Rob Zombie that made me want to hurl. Because it sounded awful. So use the fucking song. Ugh. Anyway. She comes in, killing a bunch of dudes with a sword. And then what happens over the next couple of episodes is you find out not only is she the conspirator, she's basically the reason this is all happening. She might as well come in ironically singing the song I Did It by the Dave Matthews Band. Just in with her sword, cutting dudes down, going, I did it. Do you think I've gone too far? I did it, guilty as charged. Like it's a freaking show tune. It just made me want to just like strangle something. Because it was just so stupid. Because the character is not interesting. And I think that's what aggravates me the most. The character is puppy-kickingly, baby-rapingly evil. And there's no nuance to it at all. It's just, she's evil. We're not really given a super good reason as to why she's evil, because another character within the story goes through a lot of similar stuff. In fact, maybe even more than this character does, and did not turn out evil. In fact, is just sort of an anti-hero. So, I don't get it. It's not given enough, we're not given enough time with this character to really understand why she's as evil as she is. We're just supposed to assume, because of the way that the world has been built so far, that all rich people are evil. Which is kind of my problem. It's like, this story is trying to jam down my throat that capitalism is bad, that being rich is bad, all rich people want to eat babies like freaking baby Alfredo, or something, yeah, baby penne Alfredo, like that's what their normal dinner is, with a nice Chianti. Insert Hannibal Lecter lip noise here. It is so by the numbers leftist that it made me wonder if the book was like this, or if the book used that idea to try to make a philosophical point, and the show is just run by a bunch of morons who couldn't do it. I don't know. Somebody who's read Altered Carbon is going to have to let me know that. So, let me put it this way. There are interesting philosophical ideas that you can tread with this sort of a story. And it starts to tread them. Then those episodes come along with that super evil baby-kicking psycho that seems to basically leave any sort of questioning about those philosophical bits and just give you the answers. And like, nope, this is how it is. You don't get to think about it anymore. This is how it is. Rich people are evil. Capitalism's bad. It's always going to lead to you murdering hookers in the sky or something like that. By the way, God is dead. We are now gods. Blah, 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 blah. And then in the 10th episode, the finale, it tries to bring you back to a point where you can ask the questions again of, is immortality something that human beings should not interact with or ever have for ourselves? Is there such a thing as too wealthy? You know, what kind of effect does this have on the human spirit? Are we destined for all societies to turn into oligarchies? You know, things along those lines. Like, those are interesting questions to ask, and they can work as a great grounding for science fiction, because science fiction is always about the question of what happens as we continue to progress. Unless it's Star Wars, in which case it's basically, you know, a space western fantasy. But regardless, that's the way that a lot of hard sci-fi is. You know, Blade Runner, Deus Ex, my brain's blanking on me at the moment. God, Ender's Game. You know, different stuff like that can have interesting questions to ask the person who's interacting with the fiction. This makes a colossal fuck up that way, and it really sucks. And it honestly sucks all the life out of the story. It's almost like this show went from, okay, let's tell an interesting sci-fi story from episodes 1 to 7. Then episodes 8 and 9, let's go super woke time. Like, we must be the wokest of all sci-fi shows. We're even going to have one character get morphed into a synthetic thing after being taught how to kill people by an AI, and she's gonna dress like some fucking disco funky blaxploitation character and just become a murder bot. Like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like the showrunner it was being written by Orson Scott Card, and then for those 2 episodes and maybe like half of the finale, it was written by Gabby Rivera, the person who wrote America Chavez. It's that bad. And then it gets good again at the ending, and it's like, what is this? It's sort of like, I know I use food analogy all the time, but I love a good dinner. So let's say that you're on this date with a beautiful woman. Like, in my particular instance, It's this fancy schmancy place. I'm in my nice $1,000 suit. Dinner is over, and I'm drinking this wonderful wine with this beautiful woman with a pixie haircut because I'm obsessed with short-haired women, and just gorgeous knockout. And then somebody comes and just like whips off their, like some giant butch pink-haired lesbian, rips her pants off, stands on top of my table, and takes a huge dump right in the middle of it. And then the wait staff comes in and cleans it up and says, sorry about the mess. By the way, here's the best wine that's on the house. It's like, my night's been ruined, you fucking assholes. But thanks for the wine anyway. And I can't really sum up Altered Carbon any better than that. What the fuck, man? Ugh. Anyway, my name is Micah Curtis. Maybe the second season's gonna be better. I don't know. Deus Vult.